Hello and welcome back to another video. This is American English with this guy. I'm this guy, and the goal of this channel is to help you improve your English. And the goal of this video is to help you learn some Halloween vocabulary. But before we do that, this channel just hit 2,700 subscribers. I want to thank each and every one of you who have subscribed to this channel. It's often said in English, I couldn't have done it without you, but of course, this is true. So true in this case. If it was just me and my family, I'd have probably 7 subscribers. So thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. We've come a long way in just 8 months. Halloween is a pretty big holiday here in the United States and really popular with kids because they get to dress up in costumes, go around to strangers' houses, and get lots and lots of candy. It is celebrated on October 31st every year. And the first word I would like to teach you is pumpkin. Pumpkins are often put on the front doors of American houses to celebrate Halloween. When Americans are carving their pumpkins, they will turn those into another vocabulary word, which is jack-o'-lantern. And I know if you look up there, it has an O in it, but we really pronounce it jack-o'-lantern. More like an A instead of an O. And after Americans are done carving their pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns, yeah, we use that verb most often when talking about turning pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns. Carve. Once those pumpkins are carved, oftentimes Americans will roast the pumpkin seeds inside those pumpkins. I mentioned it earlier in the video, but costume is another word that we use when talking about Halloween. Kids, some adults, will dress up. Maybe that's a new phrasal verb for you. But when you put on a costume, you dress up as something other than yourself. Popular costumes for Halloween are mummies. Notice the way that is spelled, mummy. It's a lot like a mother, but clearly not. Oftentimes, parents will wrap their children in toilet paper and they will become a mummy. If you don't have a lot of money, this is usually a pretty easy costume to make. But at one time, in the United States and a lot of parts of the world in 2020, toilet paper was hard to get and it became very expensive. So we might see fewer mummies for Halloween this year. I don't know. Witches are another popular costume for kids, and witches often have black cats. I just made a video about National Black Cat Day here in the US, and I will put a link to that video at the end of this one in case you haven't watched it yet. Another popular Halloween costume is a scarecrow. The scarecrow is exactly what it does. It scares crows. Farmers will often have scarecrows in their fields to keep the birds away from their crops. Werewolves are also popular costumes. Those can be pretty scary types of things. I think they're fake, but when there is a full moon, some people think that some people will turn into werewolves. Speaking of full moons, there is actually one tonight. Halloween. I'm filming this on Halloween, and there is a full moon tonight. In fact, it's the second full moon of the month. When that happens in English, we call it a blue moon. Not sure why. It's not actually blue. It's just another full moon during that month. But there is a saying in English. If something doesn't happen that often, we will use the term once in a blue moon to describe it. For example, pumpkin pie. That is often eaten here in the United States during the fall quite often. And I think Jamie is going to make a video on how to make a pumpkin pie in the near future. But let's say somebody doesn't really like pumpkin pie, but they might only have it on Thanksgiving and maybe a couple other times during the year. They could say, I like pumpkin pie, but I only eat it once in a blue moon. So if you want to practice your English and describe something that doesn't happen very often, you can say it happens once in a blue moon. Another term you might want to know for Halloween is candy apple. Americans don't like to eat very healthy. You may know that. So oftentimes we will take healthy things and make them unhealthy. And that's what we do with candy apples. Apples. We have another saying in English, an apple a day will keep the doctor away. Well, I don't think that is true for candy apples. To make a candy apple, you basically take an apple, healthy, shove a stick into it, and then drizzle it with some kind of candy goodness. Oftentimes it's caramel, and voila, you have made something healthy into something unhealthy. We call that a candy apple. Very popular during Halloween. Here I have taken a decoration that is bigger than my face from the house and brought it down here into the room I film in. And you can clearly see this says Halloween. And right here, the H is made from bones. And another popular costume during Halloween is a skeleton. So that's why we have the H made from skeleton bones. Over here, the A, that is made from candy corn, a very popular Halloween. I almost said popular, and it is for some, but candy corn is very polarizing. Polarizing is a good word to know in English. It's like, think of the North Pole and the South Pole. They are on opposite ends. If something is polarizing, it means most people either love it or they hate it. And that is how I would describe candy corn. It's very polarizing. Popular with some people, hated by others. All right, right here we have the L's. Those are made from some witch's feet with her socks. Obviously, this is a skeleton. Maybe those are its legs. Right here we have a bat that is also associated with Halloween. Down here, I'm going to skip these because I want to spend some time on the E's. And this, the N, well, that looks like a haunted house to me. So a haunted house, very simply, is an old house that some people might think is scary. Oftentimes in the United States, during Halloween, you can pay money to go inside a haunted house to get all the scares you want. I am not a big fan of haunted houses, but my kids have both visited haunted houses this year. Now let's talk about these E's, but I'm going to get rid of this so I can actually explain it. Cemeteries are often thought to be haunted, or when I say haunted, it means spirits might be hanging over that piece of land, the cemetery, where people are buried. And in cemeteries, you have these things called either tombstones or headstones. I think most cultures have this, but it's to show people where that person is buried. And oftentimes on tombstones, you will see the words R.I.P, or as the kids are saying these days, R.I.P, but it actually means rest in peace. But teenagers have used that in other ways. For example, in class this week, one of my students' pens died, meaning it ran out of ink, and when it did, they said RIP and looked very sadly at their pen because it was no longer useful. And the last term I would like to teach you today is trick or treat. This is what children say when they approach a stranger's house. The lights have to be on in that house. That will let people know that house is giving out candy. And when the children go to the door, maybe ring the doorbell or knock on the door, they will say trick or treat. And the people inside the house should give them a treat, usually a little piece of candy. There are some very boring people here in the United States that will give out toothbrushes or toothpaste or dental floss just because they feel the kids are getting too much candy that night. I used to hate visiting those houses as a kid. You think you're going to get a sweet candy bar, and instead they give you a toothbrush. Children will often say, trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. But they will usually say that on the playground at school, not when they actually go to a door for candy. And the last thing I want to talk about is the switch witch. We don't do this in my house. I don't think this was even invented when I was a kid, but because so many parents are worried that their kids are going to have too much candy, the switch witch has been invented. And what the switch witch does is you leave your candy out where the switch witch can get it. And overnight, she will take your candy and instead leave you some money. The parents think that they're saving their kids' teeth by taking away all the candy and then paying them for that candy instead. I think it's a really new invention here in the United States, maybe only 5 or 10 years old. I hope you have learned a little something from this video. If you're looking for more Halloween related videos, right up there is that video I did on National Black Cat Day. And below that is a live stream I did on Halloween Day. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.